Now we're watching the interview from last night. Your main takeaway?
It was fine. It was not. It's not going to change anybody's mind, I don't think. I'm a little flabbergasted is the fact that the campaign hyped it as much as they did and then delivered such a sort of a mediocre performance. Did he wander off the stage? No. Did he give sharp answers? No. By the way, the White House is describing that interview that you just showed as energetic and eloquent. Energetic and eloquent. Either they believe that, in which case they have a problem, or they don't believe that, in which they have a problem, which case they have a problem, because that was not what that interview was. That interview was just like every other interview he's given. It was about 22 minutes long. Again, did he fail miserably? No. Did he put anybody's mind at ease regarding his debate performance last week? No, which just continues to sort of play out this narrative that the campaign and the White House has actually made things much worse in the last 10 days after the debate. The debate was bad. The management of it is even worse.
Former President Trump has said he's taken a cognitive test. Do you think a lot of these concerns for President Biden will lessen if he agrees to take a cognitive test that both sides are asking him for?
You know, I think it's a big deal inside the Beltway. It's a big deal with the media, big deal with you and me. We follow this very closely. I don't know if the voters back, out in the countryside care about a cognitive test. They care about their president being able to do the job and looking like he can do the job, acting like he can do the job. And right now, the impression amongst so many of those voters is that Joe Biden cannot do that. I don't think a cognitive test really answers the question. Keep in mind, if you think he's fabulous and he fails the cognitive test, you'll say the cognitive test is a fake. If you think he's horrible and he passes the test, you'll say that, that the test was a fake as well. So I think people are going to believe what they see more than what some expert tells them in this environment.
I've been looking forward to talking to you because you do have a unique perspective. In the ABC interview, Biden repeatedly said he was to blame for his abysmal debate performance, not his staff. You've been behind the scenes in the White House. Who should be held responsible for this kind of debate prep or possibly lack of it?
It was not a prep issue. We don't even know what the prep was now. Supposedly, originally, he was taking 7 days to rest, but then he said he didn't get any rest and he was really tired from his trips and so forth. Originally, we heard he was healthy. Then he had a cold. We're not really sure what the preparation was. Look, the issue is that it was a bad debate performance. After that is when the staff really has to come and earn their money. They have to figure out a way to manage the messaging, manage what happens next, coordinate between the White House and the campaign. And none of that seems to be happening. It's almost as if the family has come in now. We hear that Jill, Mrs. Biden, the first lady, is very involved, that Hunter Biden is now involved, that the president's daughter is also involved. And that can create all sorts of tension inside a White House when you've got a new group of people, whether or not they're family, coming in to sort of take over and clean up the mess from the previous group. That creates a lot of tension. And what you're seeing is the result of that, I think, Hannah. You're not seeing a good, unified, coherent response from the White House since the debate.
So based on your West Wing experience, Mick, what do you think is happening behind closed doors this week?
Yeah, the staff is tearing themselves apart. There's no one who is willing to tell the president the truth. There's no one who's willing to tell the president, Mr. President, X, Y, and Z. Keep in mind, last night, George Stephanopoulos asked the president if he'd watched the debate, and he didn't know the answer. So let's assume that he did not. That means that no one has told him what actually happened. No one sat down with him and said, look, Mr. President, we need you to watch this for the next 90 minutes. This is what the public is seeing. The president is one of the most insulated and isolated positions in the entire world, and he relies heavily on that inner circle of advisors to tell him what is happening in the world. And if those folks are afraid to tell the president the truth, you can get some really, really bad decisions out of that Oval Office.
Right after the debate, I remember you mentioning that Kamala Harris may be the best nominee moving forward. Do you still agree with that? And we have seen Trump and his allies pick up their attacks when it comes to the vice president.
You could expect it's going to be a campaign. People are going to be attacking people all the time. That's what campaigns are these days, right? So is Kamala the best candidate? I don't know the answer to that question. My guess is she's the most likely candidate. I do not know how my Democrat friends who are so beholden to identity politics, how they pass over the African-American woman vice president if the president is not able to run. Might there be other candidates who are better than that? Maybe. But keep in mind, we're through the primaries. The voters have spoken. The Democrat voters want Joe Biden at the top of the ticket. If that changes, Kamala Harris, my guess is, has to be the candidate, or else it'll rip that party apart.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.